The core idea is to unleash the vast resources and skills of America's professionals. Incite a mentor revolution, if you will, to help prepare our next generation for the 21st century economy. Essentially, we are teaching kids to work. It is clear that, as a species, we are born to learn. We are lifelong learners. Follow a newborn through the acquisition of language, mobility, emotional intelligence, abstract understanding, critical thinking, and the mastery of needed life skills, and learning seems akin to breathing. We learn involuntarily as long as we go on living. But, unlike breathing, learning can nearly stop without causing an obvious emergency. We can find ourselves stalled, possibly because we each learn differently. We are bored, or maybe we find ourselves trapped. We are in a place where either we learn very little or we don't learn things we need to know that are relevant to us. Unfortunately, sometimes these places are schools. This audiobook is not an analysis of the problems in schools, nor does it propose a grand solution to the nation's educational shortcomings. But it does build on a well-founded understanding of how and why people learn. As the chapter's opening quote illuminates, a student's experience or integration with his subject is elemental to learning theory. We also come to understand that ideas need to be revisited or newly applied to today's challenges. Following are some of the many pieces of wisdom about learning that have emerged over the centuries. Teach a man to fish. The well-known Chinese proverb says if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. This proverb is about learning things that are central to living: survival. Education for Judgment, a classic by David A. Garvin and Anne Sweet, makes the point that two models of education have coexisted in an uneasy peace: teacher-centered versus active learning approaches. The education reform movement's premise centers on the latter. As his book states, students must be invested in the learning process. They must care deeply about their education and the contributions they themselves make. Too often, class time seems arbitrarily controlled and unresponsive to their desires. In The Fifth Discipline, The Art and Practice of the Learning Organization, Peter M. Senji makes the point that, for most people, one of two beliefs block their ability to create what they want. The first blocking belief involves being powerless, unable to bring about a desired vision. And the second is about being unworthy, not deserving what they desire. The famous story of the Emperor's New Clothes, in which a child points out an evident truth, contrasted by adults who are obviously avoiding reality, suggests that young people are less likely to be constrained by societal influence and norms, and are more responsive to reality than adults. The Association of Experiential Education has a compilation of theoretical articles, including Laura Joplin's The Definition of Experiential Education, which begins, "Any time a person learns, he must experience the subject, significantly identify with, seriously interact with, form a personal relationship with, etc." All learning first stems from the individual's relationship to the topic. Joplin goes on to explain that a generally accepted truth must combine action with reflection to engender a complete learning experience. What ancient and modern wisdom tells us is that learning needs to be connected to something that students understand to be important to their lives, something in which they are truly invested. The courage to pursue a vision, or even a modest-sized goal, is suffocated when people feel powerless. Others are calling all the shots, so why bother? Or undeserving. What do I know? Finally, anyone willing to learn directly from reality rather than simply comply with a widely accepted narrative, as is the child in The Emperor's New Clothes, is in a position to make a difference. Early in human history, learning was mostly connected to life and occurred in the most practical ways. One generation helped the next deal with the challenges of survival. Later, in more evolved societies, each generation helped the next begin to master the known mechanics of planting, harvesting, and building.